If I could go back in time and change just one decision, this would be it. At 82, I've gained a lifetime of wisdom, but there's one choice I regret more than anything: moving into a nursing home. At first, it seemed like the logical step. My family reassured me it was for the best, that I'd have comfort, care, and companionship. I trusted them. I believed this was the right path. But the moment I arrived, reality hit hard. The warm, welcoming environment I had envisioned, it didn't exist. Instead, I found myself in a place that felt more like an institution than a home. A place where independence faded, where routines were no longer mine to control, and where loneliness crept in faster than I ever imagined. I know some of you might be considering this option, for yourself or a loved one. Maybe you think it's the safest choice. Maybe you've been assured that it will make life easier. But before you make that decision, before you trade your freedom for a promise that may not hold true, let me share what I wish I had known before it was too late. Imagine waking up one day and realizing you no longer control your own life. That's exactly what happens when you move into a nursing home. At first, it seems like a safe and comfortable place, but then reality hits. You're no longer the master of your own time. Meals, sleep, and even small daily activities are dictated by a strict schedule. You can't simply decide to take a walk when you feel like it, stay up late reading, or even choose what to wear without someone overseeing it. As an aging expert, I've seen countless seniors lose not just their freedom, but their very sense of self in places like these. When you strip away a person's ability to make choices, no matter how small, you slowly erase their identity. People become passive participants in their own lives, adapting to a rigid system instead of living on their own terms. Some may argue that structure is necessary, but when does structure turn into confinement? What saddens me the most is how easily people accept this loss. At first, they resist, trying to maintain some semblance of independence. But over time, they stop fighting, adjusting to a life where decisions are made for them. This is why I always tell families, think twice before assuming a nursing home is the best option. Because once freedom is gone, it's nearly impossible to get back. Have you ever felt like you were slowly disappearing from the lives of the people you love? That's what happens to so many seniors after moving into a nursing home. In the beginning, the visits come regularly. Family stops by, grandchildren bring their laughter, and for a while you feel connected. But as time goes on, life outside moves forward without you. The calls replace the visits become less frequent, and soon you find yourself sitting in a common room, staring at the door, hoping today will be the day someone remembers. As a specialist in elder care, I've seen this pattern repeat over and over, not because families don't care, but because when you're not part of their daily lives, it's easy to assume you're doing fine. But the truth is, no matter how much a person adjusts, the loneliness never fully goes away. I've spoken to residents who hold their phones in their hands, debating whether to call their children, afraid they're being a burden, afraid of being forgotten. The hardest part? Realizing that the world hasn't stopped for you, even though it feels like yours has. If you or a loved one are considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared for the isolation that might come with it? Because once you're out of sight, it's easier than you think to become out of mind. What happens when the very things that give your life meaning are suddenly taken away? Many people assume that moving into a nursing home is just a change of environment, but in reality, it's a change in purpose. Before, life had structure, simple routines. Making coffee in the morning, watering plants, cooking meals, provided a sense of independence and fulfillment. But once you enter a nursing home, those responsibilities vanish. Meals are prepared for you, cleaning is done by someone else, and suddenly there's nothing left that truly feels like yours. As a specialist in aging and mental well-being, I've seen firsthand how losing a sense of purpose can drain the spirit. Residents who were once full of energy slowly fade, their days stretching into long, empty hours of waiting. I think of George, an 84-year-old carpenter who spent his life creating with his hands. But inside the nursing home, there were no tools, no projects, nothing for him to build. I watched as he withdrew, his once skilled hands now idle, his passion lost to time. This is the reality few talk about. When you no longer have something to care for or work toward, life starts to feel empty. The mind slows down, the body follows, and soon you become just another resident in a place where days pass, but nothing truly changes. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, what truly gives your life meaning? Because once you give it up, getting it back isn't as easy as you might think. What if I told you that moving into a nursing home might actually make you age faster? It sounds shocking, but I've seen it happen time and time again. Before entering a nursing home, many older adults are still active in their own way, cooking, walking, doing small chores. These daily movements keep the body strong. But once inside, everything is designed for convenience. Meals are delivered, help is always available at the push of a button, and before you know it, you're moving less and relying more. As an expert in senior health, I can tell you this: the less you use your body, the faster you lose it. I've watched residents who walked in on their own 2 feet slowly transition to walkers, then wheelchairs, simply because they stopped moving as much. Take Alice, an 81-year-old woman who insisted she wouldn't slow down just because of her age. At first, she took daily walks, determined to stay strong. But little by little, she stopped. It became easier to just sit and let others assist her. Months later, she looked at me and said, "I feel like I've aged 10 years in just a few months." This is the hidden danger of nursing homes. When everything is designed to make life effortless, it's easy to forget that movement isn't just about convenience. It's about survival. If you're considering this option, ask yourself, will you still push yourself to stay strong when everything around you encourages you to slow down? Because once you stop, getting back up isn't as easy as you might think. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that your privacy, the simple dignity of closing your door, choosing when to shower, or even using the restroom alone, is no longer yours. This is one of the hardest realities of nursing home life, and most people don't fully grasp it until it's too late. At home, you control your space. You decide when to rest, when to be alone, and how to go about your day. But in a nursing home, privacy becomes a luxury. Staff come in and out of your room at scheduled times, sometimes knocking but not always waiting for a response. Room checks, shared spaces, and assistance with basic tasks mean that your personal time is never truly your own. Even getting dressed or taking a shower often requires help. Help that, no matter how well-intentioned, can feel like a loss of independence. As an expert in elder care, I've seen how this loss affects people. Some adapt, but many struggle with the emotional toll of no longer feeling in control of their own lives. And let's not forget roommates. Not everyone gets a private room. I've met residents who spent sleepless nights because their roommate was loud, unclean, or suffered from cognitive issues that made peaceful living nearly impossible. Dignity is something we rarely think about until it's taken away. When your choices, routines, and personal space are dictated by someone else, it changes how you see yourself. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you truly ready to give up the privacy and independence you've had your entire life? Because once it's gone, getting it back isn't easy. Think you can just leave a nursing home whenever you want? Think again. Many people believe that moving into a nursing home is a choice they can undo if things don't work out. The reality? It's far more complicated than most expect. At first, it seems like a safety net, extra care, structured routines, and people around to help. But what happens when you realize it's not the right place for you? What if you feel trapped, unhappy, or even mistreated? Leaving isn't as simple as packing your bags and walking out the door. For one, finances play a huge role. Many seniors sell their homes to afford nursing care, meaning there's no place to return to. If Medicaid is covering the costs, getting approved for independent housing again can be an uphill battle. And even for those with families, moving back in isn't always an option. Then there's the legal side. Some facilities have strict discharge policies requiring family involvement, doctor approvals, or even state evaluations before a resident can leave. I've seen cases where residents wanted out, but bureaucratic red tape kept them in place for months, sometimes years. The hardest part? Many people lose their physical and mental strength while in a facility, making independent living much harder than before. What started as a temporary stay can turn into a permanent situation before you even realize it. So before you decide to enter a nursing home, ask yourself, Are you truly ready for what comes next? Because once you step in, stepping out may not be as easy as you think. Most people don't regret growing old. What they regret is how they spent the years leading up to it. Aging isn't the enemy. It's the natural course of life. But as I've worked with seniors over the years, I've seen the same painful regrets surface again and again. Losing freedom, feeling forgotten, watching their health decline faster than expected, and struggling with the loss of privacy and dignity. Many thought they had more time. Many assumed they would have more control. But reality has a way of catching us off guard. The truth is, the way we live today shapes the kind of old age we'll have tomorrow. The decisions we make now, how we care for our bodies, nurture our relationships, and plan for our future, determine whether we spend our later years with peace or with regret. So ask yourself, are you living in a way that your future self will thank you for? Because once those years arrive, there's no going back.